Hi, I'm Ed Zynda, and this is What the Funk. Sometimes when I'm doing custom blockchain development for clients, I'm often asked to do integrations with existing software applications. This can be a difficult task when you aren't already familiar with the existing code base, or even worse, you don't even have access to the code. This can be compounded by the fact that the original developers aren't familiar with blockchain development themselves. One technique I've used recently is to use a REST API, which is a very common practice in web development, to bridge the gap between the existing application and the blockchain. Because REST APIs are so common, it makes it very easy to integrate the two. In this video, I'll show you how to create a REST API that allows you to integrate with an Ethereum smart contract. Before we get started, I'd like to mention that if you have any blockchain-related projects, or you're looking to start any blockchain-related projects, I have limited availability, and I'll leave details in the description below on how you can get in touch with me. Also, if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to this channel, and make sure you click that bell notification icon so you can stay updated whenever I post a new video. Let's get started. The API we will be building in this tutorial will be interacting with this simple store smart contract that I've already deployed to Rinkeby. You can see the code right here, and I will also have it linked in the description below. We will also be deploying our API to the Zeit Now serverless platform, which is a very easy way to deploy front-end web applications and back-end API services. You can sign up for free at zeit.co. So to start, we can create an empty directory called f-api. Then we can initialize our node project using yarn init. We will be using the popular Express framework to handle our requests and responses for our API, and using the Ethers.js framework to interact with our Ethereum smart contracts. So we can install those dependencies using yarn, or if you like, you can also use npm. After our dependencies are installed, we can create an index.js file, which will be our entry point for our API. We can then import our dependencies and initialize Express. To be able to write to the Ethereum blockchain, we're going to need an Ethereum wallet. And to instantiate our wallet, we're going to use a 12-word recovery phrase or mnemonic. And we're going to get that from an environment variable. Next, because I already know the address of the smart contract we're going to talk to, I'm just going to hard code that into a constant. This smart contract has only two methods we'll be using in this API: setValue, which will write data to the blockchain, and then value, which will read the current value from the smart contract. We'll describe those two methods as our ABI using Ethers.js's human-readable ABI format. Using Express, we'll define our first endpoint, which will be /get, and this will simply read the value from the smart contract. We'll use the Ethers get default provider function to get a default provider from the Rinkeby network, and then instantiate our contract using the address, ABI, and the provider we just defined. We can then attempt to read the value asynchronously and then send that value back out to the web client. If we get an error, we can also catch that and send that out to the web client. Next, we'll use Express again to create a /set endpoint and also add a parameter to be added to that endpoint in order to be able to read that and then store that on the blockchain. So in this case, our parameter will be called value. Just like with the first endpoint, we will define a default provider on the Rinkeby network. Next, we'll instantiate a wallet using our mnemonic and then connect that to our provider. And just like before, we'll instantiate our contract using the contract address, ABI, but in this case, we'll be using the wallet instead of the provider because we need to sign transactions in order to write to the blockchain. Next, we can attempt to write to the blockchain, and if that succeeds, we'll just send OK to the web client. If not, we will catch the error and then send the error to the web client. With our endpoints defined, we can tell Express to start listening for incoming requests using app.listen. With our code written, now we can deploy to the Zeit Now serverless platform. First, we need to grab the Now CLI by using npm install-g, which will install it globally. Next, we need to log in, and it will prompt you for an email address. You're going to use the email address you used to sign up on the zeit.co website. You will then receive a confirmation email. Open that email and just click the link. Once you've clicked the link to verify your email address, it will log you in on the command line. Now we need to create a simple configuration file to tell Now how to deploy our application. First, we'll give our application a name, in this case, FAPI, and then specify the version of the Now platform we want to use. which is 2 and is also the latest version as of this recording. Next, we need to set up a build section. In this case, we only have one build, which is our index.js file. So we'll add that as our source. And then we want to tell now to use the builder called now/node. And this will tell now to use Node.js to compile our JavaScript and then run it whenever it is being called on the web. In order for Zeit now to understand how to handle requests coming into our app, we also need to define the routes in this configuration file. And in this case, both routes are going to be directed to our index.js file. So we need to define one for /get and one for /set. And then we add a regular expression which specifies that any character can come after the / in /set. Finally, we want to set up an environment variable. And in this case, we need to use the mnemonic environment variable. And then this @ mnemonic that we're setting it to is actually referencing a secret that we will set using the now command line. And I'll show you that next. To add a secret to the now platform, just use now secrets add the name of the secret you want to create, and then the value of that secret. So in this case, ours would be mnemonic, and then we would add our 12-word recovery phrase. Once a secret has been added, it can't be read again except by the application that may be using that secret. With everything set up, we can now run now deploy, which will push our application to the now serverless platform. Zeit now will go ahead and create a URL based on your username and the name of your application, and you can use that URL to view it in the browser. So to start, we can go to the URL and use the /get endpoint, and you can see that currently the smart contract has the value set to this is a test. To change that value, we can change the endpoint to /set and then /whatthefunc. Whatthefunc is the new value that we want the smart contract to set in the simple store smart contract. We see that we get the OK, so the request was successful. Now the transaction may still be pending on the blockchain, so you may have to wait a few seconds to get the new value. But if you go back to the /get endpoint, you can see that it now reads as whatthefunc. And that's it. You can see how easy it is to create a simple API that talks to an Ethereum smart contract. You can then use this API to connect to an existing app or a brand new app in order to enable that app to work with the blockchain. Obviously, this is a very simple demo, and you'll want to take other things into consideration, like API security and authentication, and maybe some rate limiting. But I won't get into it in this video. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and smash that like button. If you have any comments or questions, leave them down below. And just as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.